Hey guys, Jen here. We're outside of the district courthouse here in Flint, where the judge was about to make a decision on whether or not they're going to move forward to the trial portion, or whether or not the trial would even happen for Nick Lyon, who is the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services director. And he is actually the highest level Flint official who could potentially be charged with anything. So this is a big deal. Unfortunately, the judges kind of kicked the can down the road, and on both sides, actually the prosecution side and the defense side, they were kind of repeating arguments that they'd made all along. The judge has been hearing testimony. They've been holding this since last fall, and so now we aren't even going to hear a decision on whether it moves forward to trial until, I think they said, August 20th. So the residents here are discouraged. Here we could have gotten a major decision in the Flint water crisis and the deaths. So let me back up and cover that a little bit. In addition to the lead, there was an outbreak of Legionnaires disease, and potentially still is. It's dramatic, and according to official records, they say 12 people died from Legionnaires disease. In reality, and in fact, a PBS report came out yesterday, a PBS Frontline report came out that they estimate the death total is closer to 120. I believe they said 119. And pneumonia really mimics Legionnaires disease. So a lot of things that were categorized as a pneumonia death or a pneumonia sickness could have actually been Legionnaires. So Nick Lyon was charged with manslaughter because he maybe covered this up. That's what they're trying to figure out. When did he know? What did he do? He says that he told Governor Snyder before Governor Snyder admitted to knowing what was going on. Nick Lyon says his notes confirm this, so there's disagreements on all sides. The defense attorneys seem to think that the greatest defense is saying, oh, Nick Lyon, kind of dumb, didn't really know what he was doing. So they're trying to say that the director of the Department of Health and Human Services doesn't know what he's doing. So they're saying he's not an expert in this topic, and how could he have known? You know, he's in charge of I believe it's about 14,000 people that are under him. And they said he relied on the experts below him, and that no one said to do anything. No one said, ring the alarm bells. Everyone's kind of pointing fingers and blaming everyone else. In the meantime, it's the residents who are suffering. It's the families who are suffering. We have anywhere from 12 people to 120 people, and I suspect a hell of a lot more who have died from Legionnaires and other things, who've gotten sick from other things, and Legionnaires and lead. And these families are left behind. There are other people who are still suffering, and no one is being held accountable, at least not yet. And hopefully someone will be, but we won't know now until August 20th if this highest level official will be. And there are definitely calls for Governor Snyder to be charged as well, because he's at the top. He's even said, the buck stops with me. And if that's the case, why isn't he doing more? Why hasn't he been held accountable? And that's what the residents want to know. So as I said, we're out here outside the courthouse. It just happened. Later, we'll put up a clip of some questions we asked of one of the defense attorneys, lawyer Bursch, and asked him, what about these families? What about the reports that more people have died than the official numbers have allowed for? So we'll cover all that. We're going to be going live throughout the day. We're lining up some interviews with some residents, and just gonna keep plugging away, gonna keep figuring out what's going on. There is other media here. A lot of local media has been reporting from the courthouse. They've been tweeting. But the question that gets lost over and over again, even with media presence, is about the families, is about who's going to be held accountable and why the residents have to continue to suffer. Later on, we'll be reporting on the fact that they're calling in tax liens against residents who haven't paid their water bill. So they're starting to call those in. So their water bill for poisoned water, the water that they can't drink, the water that is literally the highest amount of any water system in the whole country, that water. So now that they aren't paying to be poisoned, they're getting tax liens put on their home and could potentially lose their homes, which some people say is the entire goal.
Did the judge also want to get beyond the primary election? I have no idea. I don't think that's the case.
Did the state prosecutor want to get beyond the primary election?
You'll have to ask him. You'll have to. I don't know what his perspective is on that either. All we want is the right opinion, and however much time the judge needs to do that, we're willing to wait.
What about the fact that PBS Frontline did a report yesterday that it's in fact closer to 120 people who have possibly died from Legionnaires' disease?
There are numerous inaccuracies in the Frontline article that we have already communicated to them. Chief among them, that none of the medical professionals in the community knew that there was a Legionnaires outbreak. If you've been attending these proceedings, you know that that is categorically false, that the entire Genesee County medical community was well aware of the Legionnaires outbreak. That's one of many inaccuracies in the article. We'll be addressing those with Frontline directly.
Talk about the reasoning behind posting the family photo up there for the judge.
I just wanted to personalize this for him because it's so easy for the prosecutor to put Director Lyon up as the boogeyman who hurt all these people. And he needs to understand that if he doesn't follow the law and satisfy burden of proof with respect to every element of every charge, then he's taking a good man, a family man, and exposing him and his family to a trial that could result in 15 years in prison. That is not how the justice system is supposed to work in this state.
John, you and Steve got into it a little bit today. I apologize for him. I mean, do you think, was it a substantive issue that you were raising with him, or style?
It's just frustrating to me to hear over and over again things that are unsupported by the record. We have been fastidious in giving the court every single transcript page cite, every single exhibit to support everything we say. And the prosecutor has this tendency to just throw stuff out there and see if it sticks. So when he continued to do that and then accused us of somehow trying to mislead the court, that was very frustrating.
What about
I did apologize.
What about the family members of the people who have died? What about them? Who's going to stand up for them? What's going to happen here? Who's going to be held accountable?
Sympathy for them. And there are folks who I'm sure will be held accountable for this. But it would not do justice for those families to hold someone accountable who is not accountable because he was at the head of this large organization and was supervising other folks who were doing the best that they could to do their jobs. The fact that the judge would conclude that Director Lyon should not be bound over does not in any way diminish the terrible pain and loss that not only the Skidmore and Snyder families have suffered, but every family in the city of Flint.
Ty and I have actually been walking around and looking at homes where the city says money is owed to them for the water, you know, the poisoned water, the water that they poisoned. And that residents have to pay for these sky-high, crazy bills for poisoned water. So some of the homes surrounding Cicero's home were on the list of those that supposedly owe this money. However, what we've been finding is the homes are either abandoned or not there at all, as in the house has been completely demolished and the grass has had time to grow over. So what we're wondering is, when was this water run? How long has this been owed? Was it owed at all? Like, what's going on here? Who is responsible for these bills? What's the end goal? So we stopped by to chat with Cicero about what he's seen in his neighborhood, what he's experienced with his own, you know, water bills, having to pay for this water. And so you can kind of talk a little bit about what we started to talk about, what's going on. What do you think's happening here?
Well, I don't think it's right that we have to, after all of this went down, that we have to pay a water bill, and you know it's not our responsibility, and we know where the fault lies. To me, it's with the mayor and the governor. So, if that's what's going on in the city, and y'all is finding this out, I would like to know more about it myself.
Absolutely. I mean, they say the water bills are so high because the population has gone down so much. This city was built for 300,000 people, but the population has fallen below 100,000 now. So the burden of the water bills in general and the water system is being spread out among fewer and fewer residents. So they poisoned it. They're making you pay for it. Not only are they making you pay for it, but they're making you pay at exorbitant rates. Has it been difficult for you to, I mean, you don't have to get into your personal finances, but to bear this burden, which in some cases for people is the water bill is higher than their rent payment or their mortgage payment?
I understand that, and I've been blessed. I'm not in that situation, but I do understand what the people is going through, and if this is what's happening, then why? We paying more money here in the city than the people's around us. I don't understand that. which we should all be paying the same amount of money. That's a lot of questions, but what can we do about it?
Exactly, and that's what a lot of residents are asking themselves. What do we do about it? Some are purposefully not paying the water bill as taking a way of taking a stand against the system that is holding them down. These people poisoned their water. These people screwed it up. They could have put the corrosion control on for around $100 a day, but they didn't do it. And they poisoned everyone's water. They ruined everyone's pipes from the service lines that the city owns, all the way to, wait for the noise, all the way to the pipes inside the home. So the residents have had to bear this burden of the city screwing up, the state screwing up, and they're having to take care of it. And then if people don't pay their bills, they get in trouble for it.
Yes.
What have you seen, I don't know, with your neighbors or anyone you've spoken with? What is the general thought surrounding this? Do people want to pay these bills? Do they feel like they should pay these bills?
You get different opinions on that, but I'm one, I paid mine, but I don't think I should be paying, and I can understand some of those that's got a large family and bills and things, or they got a leak and things in the house, but that still don't rectify the situation of what went down with our water. Kids is affected by this, and we all is affected because of we have to get bottled water wherever that we can now. And then they done cut it off. And then other people is coming in helping us. That's wrong. That's really wrong in the city. All of this money that Obama put in place for this city, where is it going to? Something's wrong.
Something absolutely seems wrong. A lot of things seem wrong. And that's one of the things, too. We've been talking to other residents in past trips where they cut off the free bottled water pods that were run by the state and the city. And it's up to the goodness of people's hearts to keep running these programs, the churches, the other organizations. But what about the elderly and the infirm who can't stand in line for 3 hours? Who, I've spoken to some GM widows who they can't leave their house, or they're afraid to leave their house, and they're stuck and they don't have water. And so they end up drinking from the tap, leading to a myriad of health issues, of course. I don't know what's going on. There are so many layers to this. It's baffling, and actually I'm shocked that the houses we visited that supposedly owed this money were completely gone. We don't have answers for that yet. Do you have any speculation as to what's going on?
I'm glad to see y'all around here in the neighborhood, and I appreciate what y'all doing, and I hope and pray that y'all can do something about this, or let us know what can be done, where something better for the city can be done, because this right here it don't make sense.
What do you think about the governor essentially declaring the water safe? He says as long as you use a filter, you should be fine.
Well, if he lied one time, he'll lie again. That speaks for itself. A lot of people around here still having problems with water.
Yep, absolutely. Have you had yourself any health issues from the water switch?
Just rations, things of that nature, but no, not nothing serious. Not as I know of.
Right, and that's the other thing, is we won't really know the effects from the lead and from the other things in the water for years to come. And actually, one of the shocking thing that was released yesterday, they've been saying that 12 people died from Legionnaires disease from the water, but a PBS Frontline report came out yesterday saying it's actually probably closer to 119 people died. Yeah, so they actually examined death certificates, and they spoke to experts on Legionella, and they said a lot of the deaths that occurred from pneumonia were actually misclassified, and they were actually Legionnaires disease from the water switch. So I'm sure you're used to hearing, oh, the state covered this up. Oh, things weren't actually this way, they were that way. Can you ever trust the city, the state again?
No. No, it's bad to say, but we have gone from good times to bad times, and I'll be glad when maybe the old maker upstairs will come back and bring it right and fix it right. But man is just messing things up, and I don't understand it. And I hope and pray to God that y'all can do something to find out more about what's going on here in the city.
Yeah, we'll absolutely stay on it. There's no way this should be allowed. There should be news cameras everywhere in Flint, and there aren't. It has to feel sometimes like you guys are being forgotten. But you know, we will definitely stay on it, and there's stuff that can be done. There's corruption that needs a light shown on it so that the people don't suffer anymore. How long have you lived in this home or in Flint in general?
It's about 25 or 30 years here.
How have you seen the neighborhood change over those 25 years?
You know, all of these used to be homeowners, and all of these houses used to be filled back in the day, but they've died out, and people's moved out, other people's moved in and abandoned their houses and things of that nature. That's what it done feel down to. But some of us is still here trying to hold on to see what the outcome gonna be, and hoping and praying for the best.
What's the main thing you want viewers to know about what you're still going through here in Flint?
I appreciate a lot of things that a lot of people have come in and give out water and things of that nature, and it ain't no such thing as we shouldn't have the water, but it shouldn't be that other people's coming in doing what the city and the governor should be doing. Our mayor and the governor, that's their responsibility. And if the money was put here in place, where's all of this money at? And people have come here and donated so much money. Where's the money? That's my thing.